That's a real dramatic shift. And it's a good idea. After like a super high energy song, do something that's a little bit more chill because you got an hour to go.
You're so sincere.
This is deceptively difficult. Low notes like fat folds. They love it. And this is something, luckily you don't need a spectrogram to do this. You can do this with Audacity, which is nice. Is this Audacity? Which one is Audacity? We can just do it on mine. So we just have to pay attention to the waveforms. So the waveforms are going to be what's up top there, that like little yellow thing. This takes a lot of practice, but they're called aspirate graduals. So you have to start the note with that breathiness. And then it needs to gradually come together. So now she's far smoother than that, but that's an aspirate gradual, okay? And the reason why this is important is because if it's not gradual, it sounds like this. Ha, ha, ha. That flatness on the left of those means that the folds slapped together. Now, that's not a problem, but the reason I bring it up is because when you look at her low notes and you hear her low notes, she is adding continuous breathiness. It's not hard. It's very easy to, when you put these low notes together in this breathy way, to create that kind of abrupt connection in the folds, because when the more air you blow, the thicker the folds become. You see how the papers come together a little bit? It's called the Bernoulli effect. It's how you bring the folds together when you're not tilting. So this takes a tremendous amount of precision, and what's even more impressive about it is that she'll do it and then she won't. And she'll do that intentionally. So that's just how precise her breath control is, and it's monstrous.
Beside you.
Right? Breathy, then not. But gradually so, right? There's not like a pop into the not breathy tone. Now she does use the aspirate thing where you hear the folds come together here. The reason why you know it's intentional is because it's in time. If you listen carefully, it's not all the same kind of breathiness. That little hiss that you hear, that's how you know that the folds are open enough to let out air. But that hiss changes in volume. She's literally controlling these. Like the vocal folds for a female are the size of a dime put together. So she's using such precise air as to adjust very specifically how much is connected versus how much isn't. It's not just like some connected, some on, like and off. It's not like that. It's not that sudden. It's like she's got dimmer switches and stuff. It's really cool. That's okay. So aspirate abrupt, right? That's where the notes happen suddenly. When we see these sudden, like when the left side of the waveform is very flat, she's doing this in time. It is hard enough to do. It's very hard to do the farthest left one, the aspirate gradual, where you slowly bring your folds together. But to come on and off of it like that is ridiculously difficult. The reason why this feels so emotionally satisfying, and that I think the reason why I have chills all over my arms right now, is she's so smart about the dynamics here and how she treats her high notes. She knows when in the song you have to be epic, because if you try to make every moment epic, you have no epicness.
Tell me, open up.
I love, this is a very vulnerable choice, a very vulnerable decision. and I love it. What your love means to me, she goes again with this breathy tone. I always respected Mariah Carey. I know she could do a lot of stuff, but before you all asked me to start watching her a lot, I didn't appreciate that she does everything for the sake of the music. That is first and foremost. And that to me is amazing. That's such a technical master. Like, she's preposterously good with technique, but it's not the point ever. All of these phrases just oozing with nuance. I miss the 90s power ballads, okay? I'm a sucker for these things, except for when U2 does them. Again, more of this onset trickery. So hold the word. Listen to when it's smooth with the air and then when it comes together. And remember what we talked about with how precise the air needs to be. It's intentional cracking. It's not quite yodeling, but the folds are cracking and then she's putting them together and all that stuff. And it makes the word hold extremely vulnerable. This side thing that she does is also really, really cool. We're going back to the power of science right here. Let me just clear this off. When you go sideways on the microphone, listen to the difference. I'm not going to get too close to it because that would kind of be fake. The changes are that you are losing some of the higher. Let me pick a different vowel. This is not great. You end up losing some of the higher frequencies there. So it's not necessarily, you can see on the bottom, the fundamental note, there isn't much change there. So you still get the impression of the note very solid, but as you pull away sideways, you start losing higher frequencies. So check this out, because it's super, super awesome what she does here. She's doing the sideways thing. So when she uses a brighter vowel, first of all, there's two things she does here. When she's on day, she pulls to the side. Again, the volume doesn't change much, but the higher frequencies go away. And so that makes the run less powerful than the note before, but this is not the nuttiest thing yet. That coming off and back to the mic gives the run like a phrase. It makes it's not one volume. So there's an arc to the phrase musically, and she's timing her head movement with her vowels and her run. More of this stuff. So, okay. Remember how we talked about if you want to make the phrase not pop, and so if you do a high note that's really bright off the back of other notes that are not, it's a little jarring. Check out how she kills the higher frequencies by turning her head when she goes up. Right? I can't even imagine how much time she spent in the studio and just doing it like see it on arms. The other added benefit to that is S's tend to pop. They're not ideal. because they tend to occupy so much of a frequency range that they end up sounding super loud when you have compression. People have thought I have a whistle or a lisp, and it's just the S's. So pulling away like that helps there too. And then the final instance, she has the folds are separated, and then she finishes the note with them together. It's just like, oh my God, it's not fair. She's like, I want to be angry. Well, she's just got notes. She's just technical. No. This is art. This is a wonderful, wonderful, heartfelt performance. When technique is not an issue in the slightest, and you can focus on making music, that's something we should all aspire to get to. And the shade she gets nowadays because she's older is not fair. Voices change as they get older. Most singers, when they get older, they switch the repertoire that they're singing. Because to do what you could do when you were younger doesn't really work anymore. The vocal folds are like a nose. They don't stop growing. So you can't wear the same masks when you were younger. You can't sing the same stuff when you were younger. But she does. She sings her old rep. She needs to be a better technician than she was when she wrote that in order to be able to do it. And people give shade and say that, she's past her prime. The only reason that she's past her prime in people's minds is because she's so generous to fans to sing her old repertoire. Like, she's ridiculous.